Well, I've come down here to the river. I was gonna shoot this bridge up here, which I see a lot of photos from, but the problem is there's a couple of signs on each side of the bridge saying no standing or walking or stopping. So I wasn't sure, since I've seen so many photos from that bridge. Either everybody's ignoring it or I'm just not understanding it. There's some white lines that are right there. I don't know, the car driving by and stuff, I'm not a big fan. So I came down here to the river. There's a steep path right next to it. And honestly, I like the shot so much better. There's no trees blocking it or anything. And I got a beautiful view of the Watchman, which is an absolutely stunning peak. And I got some river rocks here in the foreground. I've got my 50mm lens on. I think because I know I'm shooting for print, these prime lenses are so much better, so much sharper. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot a vertical, and then I'm also gonna do a panorama with the 50mm so I can get everything. And I honestly, this is absolutely fantastic. And that way the client will have a choice of, you know, a vertical or even a square crop, or maybe even a pano. You know, I do have a lot of trees right here. I don't think a pano would work though, because I got a big mountain over here to my left. So as far as balance goes too, with these mountains on the left, the reason why a pano wouldn't work, you know, I have some big trees up kind of behind the camera up here to the right. So if I was to create a pano, it would maybe have a little bit of balance if I was to use these trees on the right hand side up here. The only issue with that is it would make that Watchman, which is my subject, it would make it the smallest thing in the photo, and I don't want that. So if I zoom out too much and use a pano, the sides of the pano are going to be really tall, and it's going to make this Watchman mountain look smaller. So I want that to be the biggest thing and the brightest thing in my frame. I have this nice leading line, so to make it as simple as possible, just keep it like a vertical, a square crop, or maybe a 2x3 horizontal, but I really don't want to include too much in that. So I'm really having to be careful with how I frame all of this. At least this way, he'll have 3 different options. We'll have a square crop, a vertical, and a horizontal 2x3. When you're shooting for a client like this, and you're not sure where the photos are gonna go, you wanna give them some options as far as the orientation goes and crop factor, so they can, you know, have a little bit of flexibility with where to put it and what crop and everything. So I think that's important to keep in mind. Alright, well I think I got my shot. So what I'm going to do is walk down the river and meet Chris. She's at the museum right now shooting the Towers of the Virgin. So I'm going to walk that way. There's a path that goes along here, and I'm just going to walk and see if I can find anything nice to shoot. One thing though with this 50mm that I had to do, and I had to double and triple check, is the focus point. You know, I wanted to make sure that I had these rocks here in the foreground. With a wide angle lens it wouldn't be a problem, but when you're starting to get into these mid and longer focal lengths, you really want to be careful with your focus, especially if you know it's going to be a large print. So this is, you know, this could be a 6, 8, or even a 10-foot print. So everything has to be perfect. So I made sure that I took several shots focusing on these rocks and also the background. And I was able to indicate, you know, with my hands, taking a shot with my hand in it to show like my finger where I was focusing. So later on, when I'm post-processing, I'm not like going through each photo and trying to figure out where my focus point is. If I'm trying to focus stack and then getting shots, you know, both my vertical and my horizontal. So instead of just taking my camera and flipping it horizontal, I'm doing just panoramas and using that as a 2x3. Like I said, the panoramic crop, like the 1x3 and 1x2, isn't gonna probably work here. So I'm just gonna vertical and then you know, doing the pano with the head. So I'm going to start walking down the river here and meet up with Chris. I stopped on my way at this little waterfall and I tried to find something that really caught my eye. I experimented with different compositions and shutter speeds, but I couldn't really make anything happen. So I ran into Chris finally. We found this bridge. We're shooting back towards the north. And we have a nice leading line with this river, but this bridge is so tall. Chris couldn't get it with her tripod, so my big tripod I brought, she used to be able to get up, but it was just such a pain having to get up really high and trying to take different exposures because the dynamic range is so high. We were trying to figure trying to get that up when you're reaching as high as you can to get over this bridge here, but I got some nice light on these peaks back here that are absolutely beautiful. We have some kind of I don't know if it was a duck or it looked like a loon, but I don't know if there's loons in this area or not. It's got a black head. I'll probably put it right here whenever I do find out what it is. But yeah, trying to get the shutter speed right and take multiple exposures for the range. When you're reaching real high over this bridge, people are walking by and it moves a lot, so you have to kind of time it, and it's it's quite the challenge this morning.
I don't know if you ever had that, when you're like taking a photo and you're so annoyed taking the photo that it cannot be good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it will be a print because it was just like technically it was so annoying, and with the people coming over the bridge. Probably be a little bit shaky and it was windy, so if this turns out good, then I'm a millionaire.
All right, well, I think we're about done, so we're gonna go have second breakfast at the truck. We got a long 6-minute hike ahead of us, so we're gonna hike back to the truck, get some second breakfast, and then we're gonna head off out of the canyon to another location, side canyon out of the park that we're gonna go explore. Alright guys, so we stopped here on this beautiful hike. We found this peak. We've been able to watch pretty much the entire hike so far. And I found an area of the creek that leads up to this peak here. I wanted to use a circular polarizer because there's some interesting colored rocks down here in front of me. I got the water flowing in, and it's just a really, really nice vertical scene. So I put on the wide angle lens, 16 millimeter, and then I got some cottonwood trees kind of off in the distance here. That are lighting up. It's got a really nice lime green tint to it with that red rock in the blue sky. It just makes for that really nice color. Got some nice rocks in the mid-ground here too, so it's an absolutely beautiful little scene. And so I'm doing a focus stack, about 5 shots focus stack, and I'm also going to have to exposure blend because it's a really high dynamic scene. So a little bit of a technical shot, but absolutely beautiful. And there's also some people walking through, so I got to kind of time it a little bit, make sure they get past. Man, it's such a peaceful little trail too, very quiet. It's actually part of Zion too, but we had to come around to the very west side of the park, northwest side of the park, and wow, what a beautiful spot.
So we came across this scene with a cottonwood tree spanning over the small creek here, and I think it looked very nice because there is just a little bit of light on the grey bark here, and then the fresh spring leaves on the cottonwood tree look absolutely brilliant. They're extremely bright and green, and then there's some nice side light. I mean, it's basically middle of the day. Right now it's 10 o'clock, so the sun is pretty high up there, but I still think it looks quite amazing because we have some light coming in and hitting that peak right there. I had to do an exposure blend here too, just because it is so bright, and Mike also helped me with having some shade on the front of my lens to get rid of the sun flares. We continued along the creek and found a few waterfalls, but also this old, very cool looking cabin. I tried to set up and get a photo here, and I had the print in mind, so I photographed both options, a vertical as well as a horizontal. And I'm quite pleased how these two photos turned out. We continued our way back and drove along the beautiful scenic road for a little bit longer and came up to a very impressive lookout.
So we just pulled over here and there's like a viewpoint. So I would love to come back here in like winter, or if there's like a cloud inversion, to get that nice fog and cloud in these red rocks and stuff. Wow, absolutely beautiful place. Holy God, this is absolutely mind-blowing. All the sandstone and the varnish and everything is just absolutely beautiful. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video, so thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.